My name is Annabel, and my story is one I wish I never had to tell. But I must, because silence is its own kind of prison, and I have been in a prison for a long time. I was born in a small, cramped room in the heart of Lagos, a city that breathes noise and ambition. For me, it only ever breathed hardship. My world was small, defined by the four cracked walls of our home and the constant gnawing ache in my stomach. Hunger was a member of our family. It sat with us at our empty table and slept with us on our thin mat at night. My father was a good man with a weak heart. He worked as a security guard, standing for 12 hours a day under the hot sun. But his pay was a whisper against the shout of our needs. He would come home, his face gray with exhaustion, and hand my mother the few crumpled naira notes he had earned. She would take them with a sad smile, knowing it would not be enough. They never argued about money. Their silence was louder, filled with a shared, unspoken despair. One day, my father's weak heart just gave up. He collapsed at his post and was gone before anyone could help. My mother, who seemed to be held together only by her love for him, began to fade. The light in her eyes went out. Sickness took her a few months later. People said it was typhoid, but I knew the truth. She died of a broken heart and an empty purse. I was 14, and I was utterly alone. I went to my father's brother, my Uncle Bayo. He lived in a slightly better part of town, in a house with a real roof that didn't leak when it rained. I stood at his gate, my clothes torn, my eyes swollen from crying. "Uncle, please," I begged. "I have nowhere to go." He looked at me from his doorway, his face a mask of irritation. "And what do you want me to do? Am I the one who killed your parents? I have my own children to feed, Annabel. Go and find work." He shut the door in my face. My mother's sister, Auntie Funke, was no different. She gave me a plate of rice, the first proper meal I had in days, and then told me I could not stay. "A girl your age is a mouth to feed and a problem to watch," she said, her voice sharp. "It is better you find your own way." Find your own way. In a city like Lagos, with no money, no education, and no family, that was like being told to fly without wings. I slept in uncompleted buildings, I begged on the streets, and I did small, back-breaking jobs for scraps of food. I learned that poverty makes you invisible. People look through you, their eyes sliding past as if you are nothing but air. I was a ghost, haunting the edges of a world that was full of life. This was my life for 6 long years. The hunger never left. It just became part of me. Then, one rainy afternoon, everything changed. I was huddled under the awning of a closed shop, shivering, trying to sell the few packets of groundnuts I had. A sleek black car pulled up to the curb, its windows tinted. I expected it to drive on, but the back door opened. A woman stepped out. She was beautiful, dressed in a sharp red dress that the rain seemed afraid to touch. She had a kind face and eyes that actually saw me. "You must be freezing," she said, her voice smooth like honey. "Come, get in the car." I hesitated. Strangers in Lagos were usually a source of danger, not help. She must have seen the fear in my eyes. "It's okay," she smiled. "I won't bite. My name is Cynthia." Something in her smile made me trust her. I got into the car. The inside smelled of leather and expensive perfume. It was warm and dry. Cynthia told her driver to take us to a restaurant, a real restaurant with waiters and menus. I ate like I had never seen food before. She didn't judge me. She just watched me with a soft, understanding look. She said, "Tell me about yourself, Annabel." So I did. I told her everything about my parents, my cruel relatives, my life on the streets. I expected pity, but she offered something else: anger. She said, "Those people are wicked. You are a beautiful girl. You deserve so much more than this suffering. Life is not meant to be this hard." For the first time in years, I cried. Not from sadness, but from relief. Someone finally understood. Cynthia became my friend. She bought me new clothes, took me to get my hair done, and let me stay in the guest room of her luxurious apartment in Lekki. It felt like a dream. She told me she ran an exclusive sourcing business for wealthy clients. It was vague, but I didn't question it. I was just grateful to be safe and fed. After about 2 weeks, she sat me down. Her expression was serious. "Annabel," she began, "I've been helping you because I see potential in you, but I want to offer you more than just a temporary solution. I want to offer you a way out of poverty forever." My heart leapt with hope. "Anything, Cynthia. I will do any work, cleaning, cooking, anything." She shook her head slowly. "It's not that kind of work. It's a secret business. It's very private and it pays more money than you can ever imagine." A feeling of unease settled in my stomach. "What kind of business?" Cynthia leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "My clients are very rich men, very powerful. They have unusual tastes. They don't want to be with women. They want their women to be with their pets."
I stared at her. The words did not make sense at first. They floated in the air between us, strange and ugly. "Pets?" I asked. My voice barely a squeak. "What do you mean, pets? Like dogs?" Cynthia nodded slowly, her expression unreadable. "Yes, dogs. Large, expensive breeds. German shepherds, Rottweilers. The men watch. That is their pleasure. That is what they pay for." A wave of sickness washed over me, so strong I thought I would throw up the expensive food she had bought me right there on her clean white rug. I shot up from the sofa. "No," I said, my voice shaking with a mixture of fear and disgust. "No, Cynthia. That is an abomination. It is a sin. I cannot do that. I would rather die on the street." I felt betrayed. The kindness she had shown me now felt like a trick, a way to fatten a lamb before leading it to the slaughter. "I thought you were my friend," I whispered, tears stinging my eyes. Cynthia did not get angry. She remained perfectly calm, which was somehow more frightening. She sighed, as if she were dealing with a stubborn child. "Annabel, sit down. Don't be dramatic," she said coolly. "Friendship doesn't pay rent. Friendship doesn't put food on the table. You talk about sin. Is it not a sin for a beautiful girl like you to starve, while wicked men like your uncle live in comfort? The world is not a kind place. You must take what you want from it." "Not like this," I insisted, backing away towards the door. "Never like this." She shrugged, a small dismissive gesture. "Fine, the choice is yours. The door is right there. You can go back to your life of selling groundnuts in the rain, sleeping in fear and being invisible. Go back to the hunger. Or you can do this one thing in private where no one will ever know and live like a queen for the rest of your life. Think about it, Annabel. One night of unpleasantness for a lifetime of comfort." Her words were poison, but they were also a terrible, tempting logic. I didn't want to think about it. I turned and ran. I fled from her beautiful apartment, from the smell of her perfume, and ran back into the familiar, harsh reality of Lagos. But things were different now. The comfort I had felt for 2 weeks had spoiled me. The cold felt colder. The ground felt harder. The gnawing hunger in my stomach, which had been a dull ache for years, was now a sharp, screaming pain. I had tasted paradise, and it made my suffering 100 times worse. For 3 days, I tried to survive. I went back to the same spot to sell my wares, but my heart wasn't in it. Every passing car made me think of Cynthia's sleek black car. Every rumble of my stomach made me remember the taste of her food. On the 3rd night, I was sleeping in an uncompleted building when a group of rough men found me. I barely escaped, my dress torn, my body trembling with a fear so deep it felt like it had settled in my bones. That was my breaking point. Huddled in a dark corner, shivering and starving, I knew I had no choice. It was either this or a slow, miserable death. I borrowed a phone from a woman selling roasted corn and dialed Cynthia's number. My fingers were trembling. When she picked up, I could only manage 2 words, my voice choked with shame and defeat. "I'll do it." The next evening, Cynthia picked me up. She didn't say, "I told you so." She didn't say anything. She simply took me to a massive walled estate in Ikoyi. The gates were taller than 2 men, and they opened silently for our car. We were led into a house that looked more like a museum than a home. It was cold and quiet. A man, whom they called Allergy, sat in a large armchair. He was large himself, with a blank face and eyes that held no warmth. He looked at me up and down, then nodded once and spoke to Cynthia as if I wasn't there. "Is she clean? Is she ready?" Yes, allergy. She understands, Cynthia replied. I was led to a bedroom that was as clean and sterile as a hospital room. I felt numb, disconnected from my own body. I was as if I was watching a movie about a poor, desperate girl. I did what I was told. I closed my eyes and imagined myself far away, back in the small room with my parents, before the world had fallen apart. It was a night of pure, silent horror.
The next morning, I was paid 2 million naira. It was Cynthia who gave me the money. I just stared at the alert on my phone. I had never seen that kind of money before. My hand started shaking. For a moment, I didn't even know whether to smile or cry. What I did that night wasn't something I'm proud of. But 2 million in just one night? I kept asking myself if it was worth it. A part of me felt bad, but another part felt free. That money could change many things for me, and I knew it. I wanted to stop. I told myself this was a one-time thing, but the money was a powerful temptation. I rented a small, clean apartment. I bought food, I bought clothes. But 2 million naira in a city like Lagos does not last forever if you want to live well. The fear of returning to the street was always there, a shadow in the back of my mind. So I did it again and again. The clients were always different, a chief, a politician, a foreign businessman, but the business was always the same and the money was obscene. After the second time, 20 million naira was deposited. A few weeks later, another 30 million. In less than 3 months, I had over 60 million naira sitting in my bank account. My life was transformed. I moved from the small apartment to a luxurious flat in a gated community. I wore designer clothes, ate at the best restaurants, and had a driver. On the outside, I was the picture of success. People in my new neighborhood whispered. That's Annabel, one of my neighbors, a woman named Mama Junior, would say to her friends. She's a very lucky girl. God has really smiled on her. I wonder what her business is. I would just smile and say, God is faithful, and the lie would burn my tongue. Inside, I was rotting. I couldn't sleep without nightmares. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I told myself it was a means to an end. I set a goal, 100 million naira. It was a magic number. Once I reached it, I would quit. I would take the money, move to Abuja, and start a new, clean life. I would open a boutique or a restaurant. I would become a respectable woman. No one would ever know my secret. It didn't take long to reach my goal. After one more appointment, my bank alert showed a new total of 110 million naira. I had done it. It was over. Filled with a sense of relief and freedom I hadn't felt in months, I called Cynthia. I need to see the client. I need to tell them I am finished. She arranged a meeting. I went to the same house in Ikoyi where it all began. Halaji was there, along with another man I had seen before, a tall, silent man with cruel eyes. They were drinking brandy. I stood before them, my head held high. For the first time, I felt like I had some power. Halaji, I said, my voice firm and clear, I want to thank you for everything, but I am done. I will not be coming back. I am retiring. Halaji looked at the other man and they both began to laugh. It wasn't a happy sound. It was a deep, mocking laugh that echoed in the cold room. Retiring? Halaji said, wiping a tear of laughter from his eye. My dear, you don't retire from this. This is not a job. My blood ran cold. What do you mean? He got up and walked towards me, his smile vanishing. His face was a mask of cold ownership. You think we paid you all that money so you could just walk away? You think you were in control of this arrangement? He was so close I could smell the brandy on his breath. That money wasn't a salary, Annabel. It was a price. We bought you. You belong to us now. You belong to the dogs. Panic seized me. No, you can't. I will go to the police. I will expose you. The tall, silent man simply opened his jacket, revealing the handle of a black pistol tucked into his waistband. He didn't touch it. He just showed it to me. The police, Halaji chuckled. My dear girl, we own the police. Who do they listen to? A girl from the gutter with a wild story or us? He patted my cheek. His touch made my skin crawl. Don't worry, the money will keep coming. You will live your fine life, but you will never leave. You will be on call whenever we want you, for as long as we want you. If you try to run, we will find you. And when we find you, we will destroy you. My legs gave out and I stumbled backwards. The 100 million naira in my bank account meant nothing. It wasn't my ticket to freedom. It was the price of my soul.
The beautiful apartment was not my home. It was a gilded cage. I am back in that cage now, writing this. They think I am broken. They see the fear and they think they have won. They think the story ends here with me as their prisoner forever. But as I sit here, surrounded by wealth that feels like death, a new feeling is starting to grow beneath the fear. But they do not own my mind. And in my mind, a plan is beginning to form. My name is Annabel, and this is not the end of my story. This is just the end of episode 1.